This is Domain 6, Evidence-Based Teaching and Learning. The competency I looked at was demonstrate in their practice their knowledge and understanding of how a Conga learn. The indicator was providing positive and constructive specific feedback to a Conga. Initially, the goal had been to take guidance and give advice through allocated mentor, but feedback from the peer feedback supervisor at the pre-practicum stage, I decided from that feedback to change around my goal. After this feedback, I decided that I would use reciprocal reading and the reciprocal reading program to show how I could provide feedback to the teacher aide engaged in the reciprocal reading intervention. So I changed my goal accordingly. Artifact 1 demonstrates my reflection upon the delivery of the reciprocal reading program and of the obstacles faced and responded to when I was supporting the teacher aide in the delivery of the program. Artifact 2 is the documented weekly mentor notes. As a new RTLB who's engaged in their 2 years of study, we are allocated a mentor, and in this case there was lots of discussion material specific to the case for reciprocal reading and how her suggestions and directions gave me the next steps that I could then implement with my teacher aide. So the feedback from my mentor was acted upon accordingly. Artifact 3 details the fact sheet. I actually obtained it by researching through the internet, as there's so many reciprocal teaching and reading templates out there, and this was purely intended as a framework and background knowledge to show the wider picture of Marie Kelly and some of her reciprocal reading strategies in helping train up my TA. She was very open to this new learning and appreciated all the documentation that she knew I was using to help her gain an overall picture. Artifact 4 demonstrates the notes that I kept throughout doing the teacher aid delivery and training for the reciprocal reading program, and of the discussion points that were encountered between myself and the teacher aide. It was helpful in maintaining the notes and helped me formulate my weekly reflections for my RTLB practice. The second indicator was in assisting a school-wide project for the promotion of a dyslexic-friendly school approach, and it actually related to... The indicator was initiating and participating in the development of teaching resources and strategies and techniques. So Artifact 1 in the goal was assisting the school-wide project to promote a dyslexic-friendly school approach. Artifact 1 demonstrates the use of the fact sheet that our RTLB team developed. I co-worked in a collaborative practice model with my mentor, my practice leader, and we were delivering the school PD to the school and staff, upskilling them in the process of everyday classroom teaching, and the fact sheet was part of the Dyslexia Toolkit. Artifact 2 was the background information that I'd shared with the RTLB team in equipping them and upskilling them with the sharing of the assignment that I'd completed in year 1 with the dyslexia assignment, and the key information was used as foundational knowledge for the Dyslexia School project. Artifact 3 provided some of the professional readings that our team undertook in preparing for the project and was useful in our overall general knowledge. Artifact 4 demonstrates the Dyslexic Friendly School Toolkit folder that our team produced, and each staff member was able to have a folder with that material in it as a reference, and it was a collation of essential dyslexic friendly material, a go-to toolkit if you like, that was readily accessible in the classroom. Artifact 5 was the PowerPoint that the RTLB delivered on their PLD professional practice development on the PLD days, of which there was 2, and the information tool was also made relevant onto the school website for parents and their upskilling and knowledge. The next competency in the evidence-based teaching and learning Domain 6 was conceptualise, plan and implement an appropriate learning programme, and the key indicator was reviewing and adapting programmes as required. Because the cluster-wide Steps to Literacy programme was such a big focus for our cluster this year, I decided to make my goal in my liaison school that I would use the liaison meeting times and use the opportunities and discussion points to review and adapt the programme as and where necessary. And from there, we used our professional dialogue to talk about what worked well in the facilitation of the project with the SENCO, the staff and the teacher aides concerned. And when certain problems were encountered, we used the liaison process to troubleshoot and forge a way forward. Artifact 1 demonstrates my background research in maintaining aspects of the documentation pertaining to my implementation of the STEPS programme. I was always keeping an eye on what was being discussed with my students on the forum website page, on the forum share for university study, and lots of relevant information came up about STEPS through that particular forum, and I used one of the critical analysis plan assignments to use as background information to troubleshoot around the STEPS programme along with my own knowledge. Artifact 2 highlights the meeting notes and the issues raised at the liaison meetings, usually occurring once a term, but with the STEPS project we found ourselves sort of engaged in a lot of professional dialogue through emails, telephone calls, face-to-face contact, especially in the first 2 terms to get that project underway, which was a big undertaking. And the artifact just highlights and documents all of those emails and sort of planning sessions. Artifact 3 details the amount of planning and again contributes to Artifact 2, just the amount of communication that needed to go on and the way in which we troubleshooted and adapted things that were happening and how the STEPS programme evolved, where we responded to the needs of the school. The next indicator was documenting case records in a timely and appropriate way, and the goal was to document a case file and follow the case management procedure to demonstrate my ability to maintain case records in a timely manner. My self-reflective review score was a 5 initially. I think that I have some strength in being structured and organised, and my post-practicum reflective review, I gave myself a 9 because I think the feedback that I received from my practice lead and my mentor was a positive feedback. So Artifact 1 demonstrates the templates required that the RTLB and our team use in maintaining a case file. In this instance, the document showed a withdrawal outcomes report required to be completed by RTLB in the completion of the casework and in accordance with the case management procedure, which is Artifact 5. Artifact 2 shows the process of using our DAPA software system, where our RTLB enter all the data and information pertaining to our student caseload, and in this instance we are required to update the database on a regular basis, and in the withdrawal section, especially on the case management procedure document, we close off all our cases on DAPA, we enter all our cases on DAPA and make sure everything's up to date. Artifact 3 illustrates the collaborative action plan template that RTLB are required complete, and again it just shows how the templates fit into the case management procedure model, and that if they're completed and followed, it produces an overall generic picture of what's happened in that case. Artifact 4, as the post-practicum plan reiterates, the checklist template the checklist template RTLB utilise in documenting our case records, and these go at the front of each of our case files and just keep us up to date and within the 30-week time frame that we're required to deliver our practice. Artifact 5, as mentioned, is the case management procedure that is in the RTLB toolkit. It's what our Cluster 4 have adapted and template that we use to make sure our case file runs in a satisfactory manner. Finally, competency 3 for evidence-based domain 6 is showing leadership and that contributes to effective teaching and learning. And the indicator for this is building school capability through frequent and wide-ranging interactions with school and staff. My goal in this indicator was to use my liaison role in the facilitation of the STEPS programme, because it was such an integral part of our year for the whole cluster, with 72 schools involved in having STEPS being implemented at their school. My liaison role allowed me to build school capability through this project, and we engaged with SENCO's staff and teacher aides to facilitate the programme, adapt the programme and have successful implementation school-wide, which enabled me to build frequent and wide-ranging interactions. Artifact 1 shows the extent of these interactions, regular and ongoing verbal communication. Like I said in the previous sort of competencies regarding STEPS, that the first 2 terms of setting up were full of interprofessional dialogue, collaboration and constant sharing, which was to the greater good of the project, and the artifact demonstrates this. Artifact 2 is a brief snapshot of the feedback that the SENCO at one of my liaison schools has given in response to my delivery of the school project, and of the leadership qualities I employed within my liaison role for it to be successful. The final indicator in this evidence-based 6 domain is supporting colleagues to improve their practice through consultation and collaboration. And this year I had the opportunity to be involved in the Incredible Years parenting programme, both in a professional and personal capacity, for one of my own children actually, and my cluster manager thought it was a great opportunity for me to cross barriers and actually implement from both the RTLB perspective as well as using my parent third eye, and to be the parent and how RTLB would inform parents seemed pretty much an all-in-one package that I had the opportunity, and I seized the opportunity basically so far as my practicum experience was concerned. So Artifact 1 highlights the team meeting minutes in which they show my practice delivery of my Incredible Years, in my involvement in it and attending the sessions that were being run out West Auckland way. And then I would bring that information back to our team meeting, and it would be documented and shared with our RTLB team members. I'm also completed the PowerPoint for February 2015, where I've been asked to present on a team development day for our RTLB cluster, and the constructive feedback that I received in my practice run through, I will implement those ideas and suggestions for next year's presentation. Artifact 2 shows annotated notes from my attendance at the IYP sessions, and they're part of the file that people receive when they're attending these sessions, and add it to their overall file to build up knowledge and build up material and resources. Artifact 3 demonstrates the reflective journaling that I used and reflect upon my involvement in the IYP programme, both in the parent role and from my professional reflections. I was able to think about the strategies that had been presented in the IYP sessions and feed forward, dissect what was important so far as RTLB were concerned. my self-reflection pre-practicum moved from a 6 and post-practicum moved to an 8, because I believe that the whole Incredible Years initiative is something that you need to have constant exposure to, and if you're not using it, as is the old saying, then you're going to lose it. So I've still got some depth of development that I'd like to perhaps explore, especially in a presenter role. Maybe that may happen in 2015 for future steps. Thank you very much. This concludes my overall reflections for the evidence-based domains through domain 1 to 6. Thank you very much.